So what we was going with? We was going with the life cycle hook of the Angular. And yesterday what we had discussed? We had discussed regarding the constructor part, ng on change, ng on init, ng do check. So and ng on destroy. So what we had discussed in the constructor, we will go overview just quickly. In constructor, whatever you writing the code, that will get execute when you loading the page. Second thing, whatever dependency you have to inject, you will inject only inside the constructor, not inside any of the lifecycle hook. Why we are doing like that? Because when you are starting the lifecycle hook, means as you are started, suppose that some input value, some values value is required for running some code. So in that case, if we are starting the life cycle hook and suppose that value is not available, then we will get the error, means we will not get our desired output. So due to that problem, means preventing that issue, what we can do, we can inject that inside, we can inject that code inside the constructor, because constructor will get execute before the life cycle hook started. Okay, and whatever code we are writing inside the constructor, it will get execute. That's why all the dependency injection only and only possible inside the constructor. So if in interview, if anybody asking, we can inject the dependency injection inside the constructor or in ng on init, in both place or not. So it's not possible. Dependency injection only and only inside the constructor, not in the ng on init. Clear? So what are the things will be possible inside ng on init? So whatever code execution we are writing inside the constructor, okay, like x equal to something or some method call or something we are doing. So those we can do in constructor as well as in ng on init also. Means in both places there is no any restriction. But dependency injection only and only inside the constructor. So who going to call the constructor? Any idea how the constructor will get called?
Self call, sir.
Hmm. So constructor will get self called. No one is going to call the constructor. Fine. So now we understand what is difference between the constructor and ng on init. Ng on init is the part of the life cycle hook, but constructor is not part of the life cycle hook. Be clear. So if anybody asking regarding the life cycle hook, you can tell, if you want, you can tell constructor, but you have to add one point that constructor is not the part of the life cycle hook. That point you have to add. Either you can ignore, nobody will create that issue. Okay, it's okay. You can ignore that and you can directly start from ng on change. And second thing, ng on init is not the first life cycle hook. Ng on change is the first one. Okay, but by default in our code we are getting ng on init, but ng on init is not our first code. First lifecycle hook steps is from the ng on change. Okay, so ng on change we had seen. So when it will go on to execute, it will execute whenever there will be change detection detected inside which one? Input property. Input means at the rate input decorator. We are writing at the rate input property. Okay, so whenever there will be change detected inside at the rate input, so that time only ng on change will get called. But ng on init, there is no requirement of the change detection. It get automatic called. Yeah, so ng on init, it will get called automatic. Means whatever code we will write, it will get automatic. As your life cycle will start, it will get execute. Means constructor and ng on init is similar type, but we will not tell that both are equal, because we know that what is the problem. Second thing, ng on change on the input detection, input change detection. Next is ng do check. When this will get called? Anyone? ng do check. So it will invoke when the change detector of the given component is invoked. Again, the change detector itself here also, this will come to the picture like ng on change and ng do check. Both will be work for the change detection itself. But The major difference, ng on change will work only and only for the input property. Okay, changes detected by the input property, not any other thing. But in the case of ng do check, it's not like that. So it will be change detector of the given component is invoked. It allow us to implement its on our own change detection algorithm for the given component. Means we can apply something there for the change detection. Means we can apply some method for change detection and those things. So when change will be detected, we will get that. But if there will be change detection, one means a change detected with the help of ng on sorry input property, that will comes under the ng on change. It will not comes under the ng2 check. Clear? So, and one thing we had written that in both this ng do check and ng on change, both is for the change detection. So we will not apply ng do check and ng on change should not be implemented together on the same component. Keep in mind, on same component we can't write both, but here for the just for the example purpose we had written actually, but you will never implement while you writing the code. Keep in mind this thing. Next, we will cover this. Okay, let it be. Second thing we had discussed regarding ng on destroy. ng on destroy, it will get called only when you lefting the component. Lefting the component means when you moving from one component to another component. So that time ng on destroy will get executed. Okay, so something is written here. This method will invoked just before Angular destroy the component. It means that when Angular will destroy the component, suppose you are moving from one component to another component. In that situation, suppose you are on home page and you are moving to gallery page. So what will happen from home page to gallery page as you will navigate? So suddenly the home page, whatever method is written there, it will get destroyed. Okay, it will get stopped. Means whatever you doing there, you calling some method or whatever you doing, according to that it will be work, but it will get execute only when you moving from one component to another component. So in that sense, ng on destroy will get executed. So in interview, if they asking when this means what is that ng on destroy, so you can tell that when we are navigating from one component to another component, so that time ng on destroy will get called. If you want, you can write, but I think same line we had written. Anybody want to write ng on destroy? So when we will move from one component to another component, that time ng on destroy will get executed or called. Clear? Anyone having any doubt up to here? Can we move next? Okay. So next is ng after content in it. What you getting from that term? Just imagine the term and let me just understand something. What are you getting from this point itself? Just understand something. What are you getting? ng after content in it. Just split this word, each one. ng after, then content, then in it. Just separate that one. No idea? So see that. So what it will do, ng after content in it. So it will get invoked after Angular perform any content projection into the components view. Means if suppose be going to display something, means be going to load some view, means load some data on the HTML page on the view, it going to project something. Okay, so that time means after that invoked after, because in the term itself that is written, you can understand from the term itself after content and init in the sense initialization. Okay, means as content will get projected, after that ng after content init will get execute. So let's see. So invoked after Angular perform any content projection into the components view. So that time ng after content init will get called. Just write down this line. Let me open official website. These all are actually theory part. So just keep in mind one line of the definitions. That's it. Ng after content init. Yeah. So it's respond after Angular project external content into the components view or into the component that data directive is in this or into it. Right up to here. That's it. Same thing is written in our that website also. Written ng after content init. Respond after Angular projects external content into components view. So see what understanding from what you getting from this one. It will get called after Angular project external content. It means that content, that data is coming from somewhere like services or some third-party API. So that time it will project after Angular project external content into the components view. Component view in the sense on the DOM HTML. Okay, so when it will project that external data in our components view, that time ng after content init will get called. It means that suppose be getting some data from the service. Okay, and suppose a student list. So be getting a student list from the API side, service side. So once the data will get projected inside our DOM, inside our HTML view. So that time means after that you can tell once it get projected in the sense it going to display the data. Okay, projection means shadow. If you will look over the English word, it means that projection means shadow. So once data will come to your HTML view, then only ng after content init will get execute. Clear? Just keep in mind the theory part. You will not use in the real time these all this much, but keep in mind how this will get called. Second line in this itself, when this ng after content init will called, before this ng after content init, which life cycle was calling? Before this only ng do check was calling. Okay, so means if ng do check is calling before, it means after ng do check, ng after content init is calling. So write down that called once after the first ng do check, means write down that ng after content init will get executed slash called ng after content init will get executed or called after ng do check. After ng do check. Written. Completed. My voice is audible or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now go next. ng after content checked. So see, first we are doing initialization, then we are doing checked. Same thing will be following each one. So now what we had done in this one, external content was projected inside our component. That time then only we was calling ng after content init. Means now we will check that external content get projected like that type. So let's see. So it will respond after Angular check the content projected into the directive or component. Means whatever content be getting from the external resource, it got projected on your DOM or HTML or view. Okay, and after that only it will check that and then it will respond. So what is written here? Respond after Angular checks the, okay, see the term there itself. Angular checks See, whatever is written actually this one, just split this, make one sentence, that's it. Nothing is new. So it will get called after Angular checks the content projection into the component or directive. That's it. Same thing here. What we had done, we had checked here. Respond after Angular projects external component into the components view. So write down this one. ng after content checked. ng after content checked. So it will respond after Angular checks the content projected into the component or directive, into the component slash or directives, component or directives. Clear? Write down next line. When it will get called. So called after which one? ng after content in it. Means once content get initialized, then only we are checking. Okay. If you will understand, then you can understand like that. Once content will get initialized, then we are checking that content. Okay. So you can note down next line. ng after content checked. ng after content checked will called. ng after content checked will called after ng after content in it. Write down that previous one. And note down in that itself this line also. It means it will ng after content checked. It will called after ng after content in it, and every subsequent ng do check. Means ng do check is checking for the change detection in input property. So it will check, means this ng after content checked, it will called each time like ng after content in it and ng do check for both condition. It will verify and then only it will get called. Clear? Write down next. ng after view init. So previously what we was doing? We was checking the content checked content, sorry, content init and content checked. Okay, two things again in the view part. So what? View init, and second is the next is the view checked. So first to go with the view init. So what means this? Again, who will get initialized? View. Okay, so we will think like this way. So it will respond after Angular initialize the components view and child view. Okay, it will respond after, write down that ng after view init respond, ng after view init respond after Angular initializes the components view, and child views, Clear? Now write down when it will get called. So write down that it will called once after the after the first ng after content checked. Which one? Previous one. ng after content checked. What you getting from this term actually? It will called each time or only one time? What you getting from this means? Once. Any idea, anyone? What you understanding from this sentence? Once is written there. ng after view unit. Invoked each time the content of the given component has been checked by the change detection mechanism of the Angular when the component view have been fully initialized. In that itself, note down this also. This is somewhat easy, simple. Init. Note down this line also. In that itself, ng after view init invoked when the components view has been fully initialized. Components view has been fully initialized. Components view have been fully initialized. Clear? Okay. Next, ng after view checked. It means invoked each time. It will invoke each time the view of the given component has been checked. Means this checked, it will get called each time checked by the change detection mechanism of the Angular. Means whenever change detection will be get called, so each time ng after view checked will be ng after view checked will called. Write down this line. Invoked each time. Invoked each time. Invoked each time the view of the invoked each time the view of the invoked each time the view of the given component has been checked by the change detection mechanism of Angular. Change detection mechanism of Angular. Clear? So this was the last because ng on destroy already we had seen. Okay. So this got completed life cycle hook. Just this is like a theoretical. So you have to keep in mind each definition because in interview they will twist the question and they will try to get some more clarity over this both bit. I telling you which one. They will try to get more clarity over this ng do check and ng on change. Because this both is calling in the change detection, but there is some difference. Like ng on change, it will get called with change detected inside ng input property, but ng do check will get called once, means it will get called when change will be detected. Why which one? Not input property. That will be with our change detection mechanism. Means if we had written some code, due to that, if change will be detected, that time it will get execute. Clear? Or having any doubt out of this 8 total? If you have doubt, you can ask which one you have doubt. No doubt. ng do check, ng content, ng after view init.
Sir, what is the use of add joke and clear joke?
This is
What?
nothing, man. This is just a button. One will add, one will remove. Wait, I clicking that. When we clicking add joke, see inside add joke, what we had done means here we are making the change detection. Input property is there, and wait, joke component. Yeah, sorry, joke list. Yeah. So here see, add joke is there, and button is there. Be doing something like go to this component. See, add joke one method is there, correct? And delete will delete that. Whatever will be there, it will delete that method. And it going to assign here. That's just we are pushing that code. And then in the second component, we are receiving that data itself, like input, whatever we are getting from there, and we are passing that one. Okay, so when we clicking this add joke, what is happening there? That the component level, we had we had apply all different type of that method. Ng on change, ng on init, then ng do check. And one thing, take care, if you have to apply any of the life cycle hook, suppose ng do check, if you have to apply, you have to implement this. See this line. Previously, you will get here on init only. But if you want to apply another, you have to implement here. I have to implement that. I had not implemented. Wait. Ng after content init. Let me add that. Which one? After content checked. Before this, content init. Content init. contentin. Yeah. After content init, after content checked. What is next? After view, once a content get in it, next view will get in it, and view will get checked. After view checked. Okay, now let's execute. Now see. Yeah, so now click this add joke. What happened? Be getting first, which one? Constructor get executed. Second, ng on change get executed. Then some change detection is there. So ng do check get execute. Ng after content in it. Where is that ng on init? Something is there or not? Ng on change, ng on, oh, here nothing is there. Wait, let me open this console also. So now ng on init get executed, then ng do check. We had not written anything, just we had implemented that method. We no need to call this, because as this will get a step, means they will get their chance, it will get execute automatic. So we had written just one console.log inside each line, each one. We had written console. You can write each method, whatever you want. Okay, you can apply there. So if you want clear that, and see when we clearing this, ng on destroy getting execute. Clear this one now. See, add joke first. Now you not getting ng on destroy. Just verify. Nowhere ng on destroy is there. But we want to clear. We want to moving from one component to another component, like that be planning. So let's clear. So see, ng on destroy get executed. Let's say do one thing. Go to this button. Where is that button? And what we doing in this delete joke? Okay. So see here. In delete, what we doing? We are stopping something. So that's why we getting that whatever method we had written for that when we moving from one component to another component, that is ng on destroy, so that getting executed. Clear? So like this type, there means when they will get chance, that time only they will execute. It's not that they will execute anywhere, anytime. No, they will get chance, that time it will. Clear? Raful? Anyone? Any issue? No problem. Okay, fine.
No, sir.